U.S. officials have identified 5 men they believe were behind the Benghazi terror attack, and they reportedly have enough evidence to justify seizing them by military force. It seems, however, that the burden of proof needed to try these men in a civilian court is a bit higher, and the administration is waiting for that. Until that burden is met, the Obama administration is holding still. It's an unusual plan of action for a White House that's authorized hundreds of drone strikes against suspected terrorists. So what's different this time? Joining me for tonight's Q&A is Jim Carafano, an expert in national security and vice president at the Heritage Foundation. Jim, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So we are just now learning from an AP report today that the FBI has identified 5 men who apparently are being allowed to roam free in eastern Libya as being participants and possible planners behind the Benghazi attack on September 11th. So my question to you is, why is the administration having such a hands-off policy?
I got to tell you, I really hate you guys. I mean, you come up with these really hard questions, explaining what these guys are doing, because this just makes no sense. Look, you understand when you're sharing information in an ongoing investigation, the standards are always pretty clear. You never want to do anything that's going to compromise the investigation, the prosecution, or if there's national security involved, the sharing of intelligence information. So, okay, let's say I get all this. Let's say, okay, they want to try these guys. But then why are they telling you that they have 5 suspects and they're just waiting on enough information to arrest them? Why would they be announcing that? That's like telling John Gotti that, hey, dude, we're just waiting for a couple more witnesses to come in and then we're going to prosecute you. It's just...
Right. It doesn't make sense. I mean, the AP piece, it says that these guys are under electronic surveillance. Well, if they didn't know before, they certainly know now after today's AP story. But I want to get back to the policy question, which is these are members of Ansar al-Sharia who are involved in Benghazi. But guess what? Also involved in Algeria in January. Why didn't we detain these guys, interrogate these guys, find out about ongoing terror plots, perhaps have even prevented those deaths in Algeria at the Norwegian-owned oil facility?
Well, I mean, these are all really good questions. Not to make light of the whole, what are they telling us this, but either somebody's telling information which is very inappropriate, or this is some kind of effort on the administration to kind of dampen the criticism they've gotten on Benghazi by just, waving a flag, says, don't worry, we've got suspects out there. I mean, I can't come up with a logical reason why they would come out and make an announcement like this. But let's say this is true, and they said, well, we're going to prosecute these guys. This just demonstrates the wrongness of this, but it is consistent with the administration, which really is trying to warp terrorism policy back to what it was in the 1990s when we said we just treat this as a police matter. That is how we got to 9/11. The idea about having an authorization of use of military force is you recognize that it's very problematic to get the standards to do a prosecution, but that you think people are actually coming to kill you and you need to treat them like an enemy and go out them and stop them before they attack you. It's like, in the military, when you see a troop going on the battlefield from the other side, you just kill him. Well, he may not even be trying to hurt anybody. He might be going home on leave, but you kill him because he's part of the enemy, and you know that his intent and purpose is someday to try and kill you.
Right.
So why in this and under the current authorization of use of military force, I think it's very, very clear this is an affiliate of Al-Qaeda. This can be tried to the legal authority that the president has been given to declare these people enemy combatants and go after them. Why they're not doing that, it's a head scratcher.
It doesn't make sense. You would think that they would want to interrogate these men for who else participated on 9/11. We know that it was more than 5 people, and any future terror plots which have already been carried out while these guys have been just hanging out in eastern Libya, apparently. But I do want to also call your attention to a quote in the piece today that said, high-level strategy debates among White House, FBI, and other counter-terror officials are going on as we speak to try to decide what to do about these 5 men who have their freedom. My question is, perhaps this piece was leaked to try to push the president to make a decision. He's giving a speech tomorrow at the National Defense University where he's going to lay out his counter-terror policy. Do you think that maybe this is supposed to be a bit of a nudge from some of these leakers to the AP?
Well, if it's a leak, it's very unhelpful because it does make it kind of look like Keystone Cops. If this was an intentional leak to try to kind of take pressure off the president, boy, it's just not working. Look, the administration's gotten criticism on their counterterrorism strategy that they've never gotten before. They've done a lot of things that the left doesn't like. but the left's been very patient with that. But now they're getting heat really from both sides, not just on Benghazi, but from the left's frustration that he hasn't done things like close Gitmo. So the administration's not really prepared for this. I mean, they're like a big guppy there, just kind of with their mouth open. They're getting criticism and pushback in the press and from the left that they've never gotten before. And they really appear to be kind of struggling to deal with this. We've seen this in the president coming out in his press conference on the Syria Red Line, looking very much not in control. Carney coming out and just making one disastrous press conference after another, thinking that somehow he's going to smooth the waters. And now the announcement of this speech just seems odd with all that's going on. The president thinks he's going to go out and make a speech and he's going to make people happier.
Well, Jim,
I just don't get it.
Sorry to cut you off. We got to go. We're running out of time, but we appreciate you joining us and sharing your expertise.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.